Hello everyone and welcome to day 9 of the Propulsion Swimming Daily Podcasts as we round up the Paris 2024 Olympic Games. Don't worry, this isn't going to be the final one because we're going to be reviewing day 8 swims today, previewing day 9 finals which are happening later on this afternoon. I'll bring up that point a little bit in time and then we'll come back with another final episode reviewing day 9, maybe at the end of the day. We'll see how much energy we've got left, but I'm pretty sure we can get it up by the end of the day.
I suspect so. Finals are a little bit earlier tonight, aren't they? So we can.
Yes.
I think we can squeeze an episode in, and once it's edited, so it'll be up later tonight. I suspect. Last night's finals actually were the first time that we didn't actually watch it together because I was out, but I did manage to watch it on my phone. So this might be a little bit of an interesting conversation because we actually haven't discussed our thoughts on the finals from last night. So yeah, this will be an interesting one.
Like Dan said, finals tonight are earlier, so I want to make everyone aware of that. In case you missed it, I'll be honest, before we started doing the prep for this episode, I had no idea. So it's 2 hours earlier than usual. So in the UK, that's 5:30. Yep. Everywhere else in the world, I'm not going to work out your time zones for you. I apologize. Because we've got a lot of listeners coming in from like Australia, Canada, America. Yep. It's just 2 hours earlier than what you've had before.
Yep.
But before we start talking tonight's finals, let's review night 8, which for me, like the two big events that we really hyped up going into these Olympic Games, delivered.
They did.
Absolutely delivered.
Yeah, from a racing point of view, a dramatic point of view for the women's 200 IM, but we obviously
time point of view.
Yeah, time point of view. We'll start with the 100 fly. I think that's obviously the starting point here. The first final that was on show. Again, I think the final missed Dressel, which was a shame on that point of view. But would he have actually won a medal? I mean, bronze was a 50.45, so it was a bit quick. But
it was very quick.
Yeah. I mean, Milak did it in the end, ultimately. I mean, that's a fantastic gold for him. So he's actually relatively backed up his 200 fly silver with a gold in this one. Honestly, I actually thought when Liendo did his turn, I thought this is Liendo's to lose here. The back-end speed has been working all meet.
Yeah.
And Milak held on. Like, wow. That's an amazing split he did.
The splits for this are good for both of them. I don't know how both of them improve on this because they both went out in 23s. So Josh Liendo went out in a 23.2, Kristof Milak a 23.4, and then Milak came back in a 26.5.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, Liendo just joins that sub-50 club, doesn't he?
So there's now 5 of them, isn't there?
5 of them, yeah. Can you name them? So Milak and Liendo, obviously. Phelps.
Milak, Liendo, Phelps, Kavic, and Dressel. Dressel with the
well.
world record still. Which that world record still looks mighty good.
It looks good, doesn't it? I mean, the start was firing for him that meet, and obviously the first 50 was good. The turn worked for him. But yeah, sub 50 for Liendo. I'm quite happy for him. It's just a shame, I suppose, from his point of view, that it wasn't quite gold. But again, happy for Milak to do what he did, upgrade from Tokyo, I guess.
Yeah, he came out of the pool and there wasn't many emotions, but when he was stood behind the podium, there were some tears. So I think this one meant a lot to him. I know he was gutted after losing that 2 fly. You saw the podium walk around the poolside. He was not interested in taking any photos whatsoever.
I think he actually missed a couple of interviews for this gold as well, if I'm honest.
Did he?
From what I've read and hearsay, but yeah.
But no, 49.9. It comes down to 900ths of a second, and maybe had Josh Liendo got his finish right, he might be on the gold podium. That's one for him to ponder in the future.
With these simultaneous strokes, you do have to get your final stroke absolutely correct and land on a full stroke, don't you? And Liendo wasn't quite perfect, but I still think Milak may have just got there. It's impossible to say, obviously, now, but it is what it is. And Karun, actually, probably should talk about him. He's backed up his 200 fly medal with another medal in the 100, so he's had a fantastic meet.
What nice this was for Canada. 2 on this podium. I think this is the first double podium of the men's side. For a country. We've not had many of them.
Oh, on the men's side, hang on, yeah.
On the men's side. I think this might be the first one.
You could be right. None are springing to mind, so you could be right. That's surprising, really, especially when America is as strong as they are.
I don't think the American men have had a good meet at all.
They really haven't, have they? They really haven't. I mean, they've obviously done quite well on the mixed medley, which we'll talk about in a minute, but individually wise, it's not been the best.
Maybe that's a conversation for another day.
Another day.
Then we had the women's 200 meters individual medley, which was an absolute barnstormer of a race. I'll be honest, it took me a long time to come down from this race. Like, just the buzz from it. I had to go walk the dog for like 45 minutes really late at night just to chill out, because it's won in a 2:06.56 by Summer McIntosh, an Olympic record. And in all truth, she battered a world-class field. She put 0.5 into Kate Douglas. And this is going to sound weird because of all of Summer McIntosh's strengths. I think this was won on the backstroke leg.
Yes, because her split, I think, going off memory here, she was like 2.5 seconds quicker than Douglas on the backstroke leg alone.
Well, maybe it was a case of Kate Douglas lost this on the backstroke leg because...
Well, I think she was reserving stuff for the breaststroke, which is where she could make the most ground up. Yeah, no, she had a really good breaststroke leg. In fact, it was probably like 2 seconds quicker than Summer did on the breaststroke. But did she lay off too much on the backstroke to compensate for the breaststroke? And then obviously didn't quite have enough on the freestyle. Summer's a very good freestyler, obviously.
She is.
So did she lose on the backstroke? I don't know. I mean, a 2:06.9 for Douglas is actually an outstanding time.
Basically PB, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. So it's tough to say. I think she did everything she could possibly do, if I'm honest.
So for those who don't have the splits in front of you, I'm going to compare the two of them.
Yep.
So Summer McIntosh, the first 50, the fly, she went out in a 26.8. Kate Douglas went out in a 26.73.
About the same.
Then the backstroke, Summer McIntosh swam a 31.8, which was only bested by Kaylee McKeown.
Mm-hmm.
Kate Douglas came back in a 34.3, which that was the slowest in the field by some margin.
Yeah.
Then the breaststroke leg, Summer McIntosh a 37.5, which is around about what everyone else did in the field. Kate Douglas swam a 35.7, which is about 2 seconds faster than everyone else in the field. And then Summer came back on the freestyle in the 30.4, Kate Douglas a 30.1, but just ran out of pool and ends up being about 0.4 of a second, which is fairly comfortable. And yeah, the backstroke is the defining feature in this. While Kate Douglas's breaststroke was outstanding, left herself way too much work to do.
Yeah, I suppose when you look at the field, Alex Walsh, which we'll get to, has a very strong breaststroke, but Kate Douglas really did push that breaststroke and tried to rely on her freestyle. Well, her freestyle was one of the fastest in the field, actually, as it is over a distance of 100 metres, just a 52-point swimmer, let's not forget, over 100 free. So she was always going to come back quite strong, but I just think she left herself too much to do. That backstroke split, well, it's a very obvious area that she needs to improve. Kind of like Summer McIntosh from a year or two ago. That breaststroke is the obvious place that you've got to improve. And Summer has made that adjustment, I think. Mm-hmm. And then Kate Douglas leading into it, the backstroke is where she's got to improve. So actually, I think she can bring that to
You reckon
down.
They can both get better?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I mean, we've always said Tinkossi's world record is going to be super, super hard to hit. But if they can both keep making improvements, who really knows?
Summer McIntosh is now only 0.4 off. So it's now in the realms of possibility for sure. Yeah.
Behind these two, this is why this was such a good race. There was drama galore because Alex Walsh finishes in bronze, but a deserved DQ, I will say, for turning onto her front on the backstroke to breaststroke turn. This isn't the first time this has happened at a major competition. Kaylee McKeown got DQ'd for it last Worlds, and I think the biggest question mark about Kaylee's DQ last time was, well, Alex Walsh's was a lot more obvious than Kaylee's, and she didn't get DQ'd. This time it does catch up with Alex Walsh, and I mean, this is two... I know she didn't get DQ'd last Worlds, but it's two major championships in a row where it has been spotted, either by officials or everyone watching.
This one was so blatant, though.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
Very much on her front, you know. I mean, it's a shame from Alex Walsh's point of view because she's
it was a
bronze medal.
It was a solid bronze. Like Kaylee, in all fairness, a 2:08.08 isn't what she's capable of in this event, and the busier schedule, I think, did take its toll.
It caught up a little, I think.
Yeah. It was Alex Walsh's bronze to lose. I'm not sure she needed to potentially force it as much as she did because Kaylee just wasn't quite in the fight for the podium.
I just wonder if she glided a little bit too long on that final backstroke stroke, and so the rotation took her naturally onto her front a bit too much.
Okay.
But at the same time, it's one of those catch-22s where if she did another stroke, she would have really jammed the turn and really messed up in another sort of way. Rock and half place, I guess. Oh my god, yeah. I mean, I hyped this race up for months and months. And I knew it delivered. I knew it would deliver. I didn't expect the DQ to make it even more dramatic, obviously. But yeah, this was an outstanding race, and I think Abby Wood should probably get a bit of a talk.
I was just going to say, let's get on to Abby Wood. She finishes in 5th at 2:09.5, just off her time that she swam at trials. So maybe that's to work on coming into the games, is to back up the swim from trials. But I think this was a case of race the race. I have no issue with the time. I'm not looking at the time. I'm just looking at the position she's come in. This is the world-class final for me in the women's side.
She did go out slightly quicker than what she normally does on the fly, and that is purely because you've got Douglas being a strong flyer, Summer McIntosh being a strong flyer. She had a good lane, did Abby, and so I agree. You got to race the race, and at that point, you've got to follow those flyers to be involved in the race and you know, have a chance of being a medal shot, I guess.
I think if you like, a really good comparison for Abby is if you put her next to Kaylee McKeown splits, and she beats Kaylee in the butterfly. She gets beaten by about a second and a bit on the backstroke, which is expected because Kaylee McKeown is the backstroke goat at this point in time. Then she's exactly the same time on the breaststroke, near enough, and then just 0.4 slower on the freestyle. So the work on is maybe the backstroke or maybe the freestyle at the end of it. She actually spoke to us at trials, weirdly enough, even though she's a freestyler. She said she usually does need someone to push her on that freestyle leg, and this was a case of she was chasing down, potentially.
I mean, it's difficult to compare Abby's backstroke to Kaylee's backstroke.
Yeah, I'm trying not to.
It's very difficult to do that. You may have to compare another split from another swimmer, really, because obviously Kaylee's a fantastic backstroker.
Well, okay. Yu Yating, she's exactly the same as Yu Yating on the backstroke.
Okay, well, there you go. Yeah,
she lost time to Yu Yating on the breaststroke and freestyle. So, yeah, it does go into your theory that she had to take it out harder.
Yeah, I see the comparisons, what you're trying to do here with Abby and Kaylee, where there were no real sort of outstanding splits. They were just solid across the park, if you like. I know Kaylee's got a good backstroke, but generally speaking, they were solid. Whereas you look at Summer, and she obviously had an amazing flying freestyle, and you had Kate Douglas, an amazing backstroke. An amazing breaststroke. Let me get that right. So no real sort of outstanding splits, but just solid across the park.
Yeah.
So it's just a case of, you just race the race, which she did. A very, very good 5th position.
She can hold her head really
good.
high with this one. Really high,
really
because
good.
She's beaten Signe Pickram into 6th.
Yep,
and Signe
exactly.
Pickram is an outstanding 200-meter IM swimmer. Weird one as well that only 7 went in this final because of I think it was a medical incident to Ella Ramsey before the race, meant that she didn't swim, and I presume, I'm going to guess here because we've not had any official statement, there was too little time to ask a reserve to step up.
Yeah, I actually wasn't aware of any medical emergency. I just saw that she wasn't swimming. I didn't know why.
The commentators said it was some sort of medical thing.
Yeah, I missed that then, which is a shame. Hopefully she's obviously okay, first and foremost. And yeah, I assume if it was a call room thing, they have to be in there, 10, 15, 20 minutes before. So that's far too short a notice to get the next reserve swimmer in, isn't it? So, yeah.
Weird one. I'm not sure you'll see it again at Olympic Games. It's one of those bingo card moments where only 7 swim in the final.
Yeah. Yeah, we had 9 in another final for the relay, didn't we? So,
so actually at this Olympic Games, we've had an equal amount of finalists. It doesn't matter. Then we had the women's 800 meters freestyle. Now, we spoke a tiny bit before we started recording. You said, oh, yeah, the 800 freestyle was a procession. But I think maybe a few Americans would have been a bit nervous for how long Ariarne Titmus hung on to Ledecky. Ledecky kicked with about 300 to go, 250 to go.
It was about that, wasn't it?
And just started to put a body length, and then Titmus was kind of hanging on from a charging paid Madden.
Well, actually, that's probably more of the talking point for me, because I like the dramatic side of racing. Ledecky did exactly what she always does, gets to the front after 200 metres, holds pace, and then pushes on for that final 200-300 metres or so, and then gets the gold. The nerve-wracking thing from an American point of view is that Titmus was staying with her. She was on her hip pretty much the whole race, but then Paige Madden almost came from nowhere, from my point of view, and then became level with Titmus.
Do you know she equal split? She absolutely equal split this.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise
because
me.
she swam a 8:13.0 and it was perfectly equal, both 400s.
Yeah, I mean, obviously trained for that moment and
Great
to do that. I suppose in a weird way, unfortunate she didn't just get the best of Titmus, because the plan for her and the training that she's done works perfectly, I suppose. I believe that's a PB for her as well, so she couldn't have done much more. Titmus holds on for an 8:12, which also might be close to a PB, if not a PB as well.
I'm pretty sure it's a PB because it was an oceanic record.
Oh, well, then it would be then, wouldn't it? Yeah. And then, of course, Ledecky. I mean, how much more can you talk about how great she is? I mean, she's now equaled the record for the most gold medals by a female Olympian now. And she's going to go to LA and no doubt win another one. So, or another couple.
I was going to say, she said in an interview afterwards, "Nah, not stopping yet."
Yeah,
Which is the 800 is the one where she's won it 4 times in a row now, become the only swimmer other than Phelps, and she's gonna go 5. She's gonna go 4-5. I'm not saying she's won 5 already.
Yeah, can you imagine 5 Olympics in a row winning the same event? I mean,
so good, so good.
I mean, undoubtedly the GOAT of distance freestyle, especially sprint freestyle, maybe up for freestyle in general, because then you're including the sprint and the distance is very difficult. But Ledecky is hard to say that she's not number 1.
So good.
Yeah.
Then we finished night 8 with the mixed 4x1 medley final. Always a fascinating race. My eyes were, I'm going to be honest, glued to the 2 middle lanes. America against China. They went the exact same order as each other, so it really was just a straight shootout. They went male, male, female, female, which we didn't call in our prediction. We didn't think they would do that, but they did. Ryan Murphy swam a brilliant swim. He always does in relays. He always shows up so much better. He went 52-0.
That was close to winning gold in individual. Like, he turns up for relays, doesn't he? Like, we were a bit naive to say, why would you put him in and put Regan Smith in instead? They were always going to put him in, weren't they?
He
always delivers, always.
Across the park in this race. Like, I know the Brits' world record is now gone.
Yeah,
and the British world record, we always said, was a near perfect swim from everyone, which is why it was the world record. But across the park here, the splits were just mind-boggling. We've been talking about slow ball all week, and we were going to put a video out after the Olympic Games, and now we've got this big question mark. Like, maybe this pool's sped up. Something's happened.
Something's happened, because some of the splits, I'm going off top of memory here. I know Ching Hyang went 57, didn't he? Ryan Murphy went 52-0. Tori Huss must have gone extremely quick. I don't know what her split was.
A 51-8.
I mean, yeah.
Gretchen Walsh went at 55-1 on the fly.
Is this pool slow now after you see what Marchand's doing and Summer McIntosh? Like, the question is now reversed, isn't it? This was an amazing race. I'm much like you. I was just watching the 2 middle lanes because it was just a straight shootout. And I'll tell you what, China got extremely close on the last 10 metres. When Yang got she was inches, not even inches, centimetres away from getting that gold for
both
China.
of them went under the world record. Both of them went under. And Australia actually set an oceanic record as well in the process. And they went female, male, male, female. And Kaylee McKeown led off after her 200 meters IM, by the way. She led off in a 57.9. Yeah. So, just the times across the board in this were so good. Joshua Yong, 58.4 for the the breaststrokers. As much as they haven't been hitting so far this meet, they hit. They really did hit in this race.
What has happened?
We're gonna preview the men's medley relay. I think Australia are suddenly in that fight again.
If they've got a breaststroker.
No, they've got a breaststroker. I'm not sure if they've got a backstroker now.
Well, Isaac Cooper's okay. He's no world beater to Ryan Murphy kind of level, obviously, which is going to be very difficult.
He goes sub 53 for them.
Yeah, I mean,
we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
But this race was right up there with one of the races of the whole meet, if I'm honest. I know the world record obviously helps, but it's just a straight shootout between China and USA. That was really good.
Split. Marchand went a 58.6 on the breaststroke.
I thought he was keeping up, to be fair, because it looked like he was almost catching up. But yeah, God, he's a special kind of someone. We've spoken enough about him, but we're going to speak about him for many more years to come as well.
Shall we talk about the Brits in this one? Because they were the reigning Olympic champions, and heading in, I don't think we thought that was going to be defended. Just the form of some of the swimmers who gave us that title. So obviously James Guy doesn't swim this relay. His meet's now done. He's not doing the men's medley relay either. His fly at this meet just hasn't clicked like it didn't click at Olympic trials. Duncan Scott takes the fly leg, which was a surprise to a few people, but I think he swam 100 fly at Seti Collie earlier this year, which was one of the build-up meets for the British team heading into the games, and he was the fastest out of the British quartet who raced it there. I think there was him, Joe Litchfield, James Guy, and I know Jacob Peters wasn't picked for the Olympics, but he swam it as well. Yep. And Duncan Scott was the fastest there. He splits a 51.6, and I don't know if that puts any question marks of if he's in the team later for the men's medley. We'll get to that. Elsewhere, the team was Kathleen Dawson, who went 60.6, James Wilby a 59.0, which is he is ever reliable at these Olympic Games. And Anna Hopkin went a 53.0 as well, which is good. But the podium was so far away. So far away. The Brits were a good 6 seconds back, which is a lot.
Yeah. I mean, there's not much
five and
more.
a half seconds back.
Yeah, not much more to add there. It's just that the other countries have extreme depth and strength in.
And they're starting to figure out
strokes.
what order to put them in.
Yeah, I mean, we were playing around with the layout of all these teams, saying that if breaststrokers aren't really hitting the times, then you might as well go for not male as well, but the option there to put a male on the freestyle. But actually, there were no male freestylers across
and
the
no
pool
female
at all.
breaststrokers.
No, so
which I guess is the right call.
Like, well, that is the way to do it, isn't it? And the breaststrokers all basically hit in the end. So that makes the medley relay, again, we're kind of talking about that all the time. That makes it very exciting. So, stay tuned.
It does. Okay, that is day 8 final session reviewed. What a great final session it was last night.
It was a good one.
I hope everyone enjoyed it. Time to finish with day 9 finals preview. Like we said, we'll put up another podcast reviewing this one after the final session's done tonight.
Yep.
We kick things off straight away with the women's 50 meters freestyle. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about starting a competition or starting a night session with a 50 freestyle. If you miss it, you miss it. Like, it's blink and you're gone.
Well, would you rather a 53 or a 1500? It's the two extremes, isn't it?
I'd rather build the atmosphere with a damn Wiffen in the 1500 meter freestyle, personally, rather than this flash in the pan start to the session and then you're like, whew, what just happened?
Yeah, I think I'd probably go the other way if I'm perfectly honest as well. But it's not a bad race by any means, this 53. It very much looks like a one-horse race at the moment. So,
At the moment, it is.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not sure if anyone can get anywhere near her. Can anyone go sub-24? I think there's a possibility someone else goes a sub-24.
Oh, sure. But I think Sjostrom breaks the world record. I really do.
She's half a second clear.
Yeah.
I mean, we were talking about the 53 for the men in Tokyo, how Dressel dismantled that final and that race. And Sjostrom's going to do exactly the same here.
Yeah.
The world record is on, for sure. Absolutely. How much by? Maybe she can go 23.5. That would be absolutely
so good.
Insane.
The weirdest thing about these semi-finals was we're watching on Discovery Plus and Sarah Sjostrom hits 23.66, which is an Olympic record. It is the third fastest time of all time.
Yep.
And the commentators are just like, and Sjostrom wins the first semi-final. Behind her is... I was just like, are you kidding me? This was amazing.
I was out on my phone and I was like, what's she just done? Oh my God.
It didn't quite register how fast she had gone, which I think is the talent of the woman and just how much you expect her to win.
Well, that's just it. Is that
you
expectations
see a
now?
23.6 and you're just like, oh, cool.
Yeah, blimey, yes. That's frighteningly quick. I mean, she's not the best starter, doesn't have the best underwaters, but when she gets on top of the water, it is frighteningly quick.
I tell you what, it's remnant of what Cam McAvoy is.
It is. It's very similar, isn't it?
Very,
I wouldn't say
similar.
Cam is the best starter compared to your Ben Prouds, compared to your Ben Prouds and Caleb Dressels, Jordan Cricks, people like that. But then swim speed on top is just there's
fly past.
No question, isn't there? So I think she's already won the gold if we're going to go down the prediction route here. But is there anyone who can go sub 24? I think I asked this question earlier, and I think there is one person that could.
I think Cassia Wasik.
I'm thinking Cassia Wasik, although Gretchen. Her
Gretchen's
start
got
is
the
really
start
good
behind her.
Yeah, but the swim speed is not quite there to compete with the other two to get down to that level, I think. I'd love to be proven wrong.
Behind Sarah Sjostrom is going to be as close as the guys' race, because the guys' race was separated by 1/10 of a second from third to 8th. This going in is separated by 0.2 of a second from third to 8th. This is incredibly close. So we're predicting Sjostrom the gold. Behind her, draw straws. Roll the dice. I'm going to go Sjostrom. I'll go Gretchen Walsh for the start, and then I'll go Wasik.
Oh, I'll go the other way around then, because I was going to Sjostrom, Wasik, and Gretchen Walsh third is the way I'm going to go for.
I mean, Shayna Jack could easily make this podium. She's
easily.
been sub 24 this year.
Yeah.
Anna Hopkin just misses out on this final. She finished in 10th in a 24.5. I think she did all she could do. She this was fast to make this final, and she was only 0.1 off it. I think that's an incredible effort.
Going off memory, I think her PB is 24.3, so she'd have to go on nigh on PB to make the final, which just, again, shows how deep and how quick this 53 is. She did all she could. That's all you can sort of do at this point in time.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the names that she was faster than, and it's like Gastadello, Taylor Ruck. These are some world-class sprinters that she's better than.
Yep.
Just a shame she can't get that final under her belt, because I feel like she definitely would have made the final in Tokyo, but they pulled her out for the mixed medley, didn't they? Of the semi-finals.
I think so, yeah. I'm glad that she made adjustments, because heat swim, the start definitely wasn't quite peak Anna, and then she did fix it in a semi, which was good. So again, she did progress, but unfortunately just not quite the same speed as what you need for the final.
And then we have the men's 1500 freestyle on night 9, which is, fingers crossed, for you Irish listeners and for my half-Irish wife, a chance for Ireland to leapfrog Great Britain in the medal table, all thanks to Loughborough's Dan Wiffen. He swims a 14:40 to make this final. To make this final was fast.
It was
14:45.
Yeah, that's quick.
That's very, very quick. I
mean,
really hope this final session finishes with an absolute bang, and we have 2 world records in 2 races. This one needs to get off the books.
I mean, if I'm honest, there could be a chance of 3 world records in 4 finals, because the women's medley relay
one is pretty damn special as well.
That's very much on, I think. But going back to this men's 1500, this is a good race. This is a really good race. You were saying how quick it was to get into the final. Some big names have missed. I know Sam Short hasn't quite performed at these Olympics. Wellbrook, again, hasn't quite performed. Romanchuk actually pulled out, which is a massive shame. Dan Jervis wasn't quite on it either, unfortunately, but you'd have to have gone like a British record to get to the final.
In the grander scheme of things, yes, his time of 15:03 wasn't where Dan will want that to be, but he would have had to go a British record in the heats of a 1500 freestyle to get into this final, which is going some.
Very tough, very tough. There's a number of names here that could get on the podium. Obviously, we're going to be cheering for Dan Wiffen, and at the moment, he looks odds on to do this because his pacing is perfect at the moment. All of these guys are holding your 29 low to mids, roughly speaking.
Yeah.
And I just think Dan looks so strong in the water right now. And you saw what he did in the last 25 metres of his 800. He's got that in the tank as well. So if Bobby Fink wants to try that, I think Dan Wiffen can combat that.
So we know how smart Dan Wiffen was in the 800, and he just looked up Pouchnary and Fink, which were the 2 next to him. So Bobby Fink now, this time, is a little bit further away than where he was before. He's in lane 7, Dan Wiffen's in lane 4, Pouchnary's in lane 5. So he can do the same tactic of watching the same way if he wants to.
Yeah,
which I think he probably will.
I think he'll just watch Pouchnary again. Because the only way Pouchnary is going to win is that he's going to try and break him. So if he can follow Pouchnary and then get a big enough distance over Bobby Fink, then it's roughly speaking going to be the same as what the 800 played out to be.
This is his favourite event as well.
Yeah,
he prefers this over the 800. Like Andy Manley, his coach, put a tweet out heading into the 1500 and said, "Look, this is the one we've targeted. The 8 was the bonus."
Blimey. I mean, I predicted he would win the 800 and then Bobby to win the 15. And at the moment, I'm going to have to change it. I think Wiffen is now the favourite for this. And I think they are. I think Ireland are going to beat us in terms of gold medals over GB, which is shocking, I guess, but at the same time, amazing. I think he's going to win. I do. I think it's a world record on.
I hope
Again,
so.
love to see it.
Sub 15:31.
Yeah, that's quick. That is quick.
Oh, it's very quick, but
he's not going to have the closing speed as the world record holder has. So that means he's going to have to be underneath world record for the entirety of the race, which makes it very exciting from the spectators in the crowd, I'm sure. It's going to be a good one. Rounding up the medals might be a difficult one because there are like Tuncelli's there. Giuardi is a dark horse for a medal, I think.
Well, I said this in the 800 because of how fast he finished. I had him on my podium for that.
Yeah, and he went 14:44. Tuncelli 14:45.
The only difference with Tuncelli is he was in an early heat and really had to go for it, whereas Dan Wiffen's 14:40, I still feel like there's more. That was a heat swim for him.
Yeah. I mean, Tuncelli it's difficult to say at the moment because every time he swam fast, he's been by himself. Like European Juniors, he was swimming by himself. When he's in there with these guys, the big boys, I don't know if it's going to work. I mean, we'll find out later on tonight, obviously. So he's more of a question mark. Giuardi just looks very promising for a sneaky bronze. Ooh. I think he can get a sneaky bronze out of this.
Copying my 800.
Yeah, I actually, funnily enough, I am, yeah. And then Fink's going to get silver. That's the way I'm going to go for it.
Okay, I was going to go... I like your logic of Pouchineri having to force this pace. So I was actually going to go Dan Wiffen, Pouchineri, Fink.
Oh, again, that's very, very plausible.
Just because I think Pouchineri's going to have to try and break both of Bobby Fink and Dan Wiffen. And do I? It's Bobby Fink's final 100 always. Okay, I'll go... Oh, God. I'll go Dan Wiffen, Bobby Fink, Pouchineri. I don't think Bobby Fink has looked breakable so far this meet, other than by Dan Wiffen, not by Pouchineri.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing for Pouchineri to get a medal here, he's going to have to start going some at maybe even like as early as 500 or 600.
Well, he did that when he won a world title, didn't he? And he almost got the world record. He really went from the absolute gun.
Go.
But this time he's got Dan Wiffen just watching him, so it's not as easy as when that swim came about.
I'll tell you what makes it interesting as well. There's 2 French in the final. So the crowd is going to be on the edge of their seats the whole time as well. Because Aubrey's actually swimming quite well. Maybe we shouldn't disregard him. He's swimming really quite well.
Yeah.
But fascinating race across the whole pool here. This is, one of our races, a top 5 race of the whole competition. And I think it's going to live up. I honestly think it is.
Absolutely. Then we have the 2 medley relays to finish. America have never lost the men's medley relay.
I know, what a stat.
Are they under threat given some of the Chinese splits that have happened so far this week? And Qing Haiyang's 57 point that he swam in the mixed medley relay? I would say yes.
Yeah,
they are under threat, especially with the freestyle leg at the end. But China don't have a fly swimmer from what I've seen so far.
No,
which
and
is going to be the difference.
It's going to impact them so badly. So roughly speaking, I imagine Zhu and Murphy are going to do roughly the same split on the backstroke. The breaststroke, I then imagine Qing Haiyang's going to come through.
I mean, Nick Fink matched him near enough yesterday.
He did, but it's still like half second, which is noticeable.
But then I think there's a second and a bit on the fly.
Exactly, and then it comes down to the freestyle, with which Pan is.
He's looked great in open water. I
don't
know about chasing someone down in waves.
When he is in open water, he absolutely flies, and you're not going to get that in a relay. But then again, you say that. He did a 46.9 at the very first race he did in a 4x1 free.
He did.
And I can't remember if that was in clear water or not,
I don't think it was.
Honest. I think the USA are going to be challenged, definitely by China.
I still put them down as favourites.
The Americans, I think, just because of the fly. Who does the fly? Because Dressel has been a little off the last couple of races.
Dressel, comfortably.
I still think you put Dressel
in.
Yeah, I think you still put Dressel in. Because I imagine he's going to do the same as Ryan Murphy. He is going to turn up and win that medal for the team.
For America, I think Jack Alexi and Cristiano Giuliano haven't had amazing freestyle meets.
Not really.
So if I pose this question to you, Hunter Armstrong?
On a freestyle?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he went at 47 way at the day one, didn't he?
Yeah.
I would lean that way, but I think they'll go Jack Alexi.
Oh, I think they go Giuliano if they lead anyway, because Jack Alexi swam the heats.
Yeah, and they usually do completely swap the team, don't they? Yeah, I suppose so. I personally would still go Alexi, but I can see them going for... Ooh, yeah, it's a tough call.
Personally, I'd pick Hunter Armstrong, based on his split that he did in 4x1.
I don't think Giuliano is in with a chance, unfortunately. It's just not quite happened for him, unfortunately. Yeah, it's between the two. I would go Alexi and you go Armstrong. It's going to be one of the two. And I'd be quite surprised if Giuliano gets the nod, if I'm honest. But, yeah.
Yeah, I think the difference will be Dressel on the fly just being able
I think so.
Like the Chinese split in the heats was a 51.7, which just isn't going to cut it. That won't cut it. And to be fair, that Chinese team was near enough full... in fact, it probably was full strength for the heats. A lot of them did go full strength other than the Americans, which is the scary thing. I think the American team is possibly to do something special.
Yeah.
And then I want to throw the French team into this because they didn't really go full strength for the heats. They're going to have Brouard on the backstroke, Leon Marchand on the breaststroke, Grosset on the fly, and then probably Manadou on the freestyle, I think.
Solid,
although they've had some good splits from some younger guys coming through on the freestyle as well. That could be a podium team, and they're really in the conversation with Australia and fingers crossed Britain. But everything has to go right for the Brits because they swam pretty much their first strength team in the heats.
Yeah, and in the
it
heats,
still looks like you're a little bit off, but you just hope that Adam wasn't quite firing. Ollie held a little bit back. Ollie held a little bit back. Matt held a little bit back. The joke is the fly leg for us as well. We're a bit like the Chinese. Every other leg is solid. And then the fly, I don't know what they'll do if they go Joe or Duncan. Personally, I'd leave Joe. I think he's shown enough.
Joe's the way to go.
Meet.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a tough call for us Brits to get the podium, if I'm honest, being objective here. As much as I'd love them to, I think the top 2 medals are gone, unfortunately. But can they get a bronze? Can they get one over on the French or the Australians? I don't know.
Dutch,
I'm not quite sure. It's going to be a tough ask. I know there's a bit more to give. Ollie went 53.2 in the heat. Adam 59.1. Joe 51.7. Matt 48.0 in their heat swims. So there is a couple of tenths to come off all of those times. But is it going to be enough? I'm not so sure. I really don't know.
Just trying to work out teams because Canada's team's not bad other than the breaststroke. Because
that's the key leg usually.
You'll finish with Karun on the fly, which is solid, and then Liendo on the freestyle, which is good. We're talking about Italy, actually. Italy missed with 2 of the Olympic champions on the backstroke and the breaststroke, which to me solely goes down to those 2 guys not showing up in the heats. Chekon went a 53.5.
Well, that's the one. Because Marcinenghi went 59 still. 59.01. 2. That's fine.
Those are your 2 guys who need to be putting in. I think maybe they just got a bit too confident that making the final was a foregone conclusion because they were right there in the medal conversation.
Very much so. I would have put them on the bronze if they were in this final. I actually would. But Chekon, it's not good enough. 53.5 is not good enough, especially when you've just won Olympic gold in a 52.0. That's not good enough. And unfortunately, it's cost the Italian team a potential medal, I guess. Maybe could they get a silver? I don't know. But definitely a potential medal. I would have put them as bronze, like I said. That's a massive shame and takes the sparkle out of this final a little bit because a major team is out. Helps the French, helps the Australians, helps the Brits, obviously. But that's a big miss. That's one of the shocks of the whole meet for me.
It's the biggest whiff of the meet. Right up there. Podium prediction then. I'm going to go America for overall depth. I just don't think there is a massive weak link. Then China, then France.
Yeah, I'm leaning that way. I think if China had a stronger flyer, I would have put them as gold.
Yeah,
but I think the fly is going to cost them, unfortunately.
And I think Nick Fink showed enough on the breaststroke yesterday.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Near enough watching Hyang does.
Yeah, I think the Americans gold, China silver, and
I hope Britain for the bronze. I really hope. French
so
crowd.
So do I. But I just think that it's either the French or the Australians. Yong put in a very good performance last night in his breaststroke. Is that going to be the difference?
They don't have a backstroker. They
no.
Isaac Cooper is I've just looked at his split. That was a 53.5. That's not gonna. You're gonna be chasing.
Yeah, and then Brouard, what did he go? He went 52 points.
He went 52 high.
Yeah, so you're gonna best part
Ollie
second,
can match that. Can Adam beat Marchand? Yes.
Yep.
Grosset, you've got no chance. And then freestyle Matt against Manadou. I trust Matt to get.
Yeah, but he might be
too much faster. He might have too much to do.
Yeah.
Or maybe they can. Maybe we're writing this off too quickly. Maybe there is a bronze there for the Brits to win. It's there. It's there for the taking if they can get there.
All of them have got to show up. In summary, they've all got to find a good couple of tenths to challenge, which they're all very capable of doing. Objectively speaking, I think I'm agreeing with you here. I think France are going to nab that bronze, or Australia. I think France are just going to nab that bronze ahead of Australia. I think that's the way it's going to go.
Women's medley relay then. The world record is on for this just because of how good some of the American splits have been throughout these games. So you're going to go Reagan Smith, Lily King, Gretchen Walsh, Tori Husk. They will do that because they went Gretchen and Tori in the mixed medley.
Yep.
If Gretchen Walsh swims a 55.1 again, if Tori Husk swims a 51.8 again, the world records go in. Lily King just needs to be on 65 pace, really.
Which she can do.
And then Reagan Smith she's going to have to go at 57, but she can go at 57.
She can also do that as well. Yeah, I think the world record, this is one of the bigger, more favourable world records to be hit, I think.
So the splits have got to be fast. It's got to be fast.
Oh, yeah, don't get me wrong. Yeah. I think it does rely on Gretchen going a 51 low.
Mm-hmm.
51 low. Sorry, a 55 low.
Yeah.
I think that needs to be done. Will they be challenged by any other country?
Depends if Ella Ramsey is okay to swim for Australia, because elsewhere their legs are good.
Yeah.
They're not up there with what the Americans can do. Yes, Kaylee McKeown will probably be leading the way, but Ella Ramsey 106.7 that she swam in the heats. Whether it's her or Jenna Straw, I don't know. Still not going to be Lily King speed, because none of them made the final in the individual. Then you're going Emma McKeon on the fly, which is great, but it's not Gretchen Walsh.
No.
And then you're finishing with Molly O'Callaghan, which yesterday she got outsplit by Tori Husk. And she actually lost in the individual as well to Tori Husk.
Yep.
So, no, I think this one is America, barring disaster. It's relay, anything can really happen. Then, actually, the podium behind is interesting because there's Canada in here as well.
Canada are a dark horse for a medal for me, for sure.
Kylie Mass, and then, I'll be honest, I don't know much about Sophie Angus, but she split a 106.0 in the heats, which is good enough for a breaststroke leg. Then you've got Mary Sophie Harvey on the fly, and I guess Penny Alexiak on the freestyle. I don't think Summer McIntosh makes her way into this, unless you think her breaststroke's better than... I don't think it is.
I don't think so.
Unless you go Summer on the fly and Mary Sophie Harvey on the freestyle, but Alexiak is a pure...
I would go a Penny. Yeah, I'd go a Penny Alexiak. I think they're a dark horse, definitely.
The podium, yeah.
Yeah.
Chinese will be there or thereabouts. They've got Tang. They've got... I don't know if they've got a backstroker.
No, Zhang Yufei will come in. They've got Yang on the freestyle, so they end really quite strongly. But the backstroke, I'm scratching my head as to whether their backstroke is going to be good enough in this field.
I don't think it will be, because looking
which
at
means they're going to be behind,
heats,
which is not easy.
59.7.
Yeah,
going to be quite a second off.
That's tough when you're dealing with Reagan Smith and Kaylee McKeown, who are probably going to go sub 58s, that's tough. So podium. What do you think then? Obviously America.
I will go America, Australia.
We're thinking about it.
I am. America, Australia, Canada.
Yeah, that's annoying. I don't like agreeing with you all the time, but that's the way I was going to go as well.
Yeah.
I'll go China for bronze then, just to be a little bit different.
Okay.
I suppose from a British point of view, it's actually a little bit difficult for us because we've got no British team, which I can't remember the last time we didn't hit a final for any relay, if I'm honest. Tough to take, I think, for us.
This one might have missed before.
I can't remember off the top of my head.
Sure.
Yeah.
The one split, the standout one, like everyone else was solid without being outstanding across the board, was Ang Harrod, who hit a 65.4, which is very good. Like, it backs up her performances in the individual. That's probably exactly where you expect her to be after individual swims.
Yeah, definitely.
Future's bright for her. This relay team needs a bit more strength and depth, I think, because these girls, you had to raise near enough a full strength team, and they didn't quite make it through.
I mean, you look at this team. Kathleen's coming off a really bad injury. Freya Anderson had glandular fever. Kiana's more of a 200 fly swimmer. So that's we're doing okay, really, on the grand scheme of things. But we've got some youngsters coming through, which is the future's bright for us. It is
encouraging.
Yeah.
Okay, and that just about rounds up our preview of Day 9 and our last big daily podcast from Propulsion Swimming during these Paris Olympic Games. Like we said, there will be one more episode coming where we will discuss tonight's finals. We'll give our thoughts. They will probably be quite raw and quite straight after the finals, which will be a different sort of... maybe a different sort of set of emotions that you guys will hear from us. Maybe. We might be bouncing off the walls. We might be down in the doldrums. Who really knows at this point? That will come up either later today or first thing tomorrow morning. And then we will be back to our usual weekly episodes after these Olympic Games. We will... Well, actually, we've got to talk open water, which we will do in its own separate little podcast leading into the open water. And then we'll discuss the British performances as a whole and give our opinions of that.
Absolutely.
So, thank you for everyone who's joined us this far of our Olympic journey for Paris 2024. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. And we will see you guys in like 12 hours. It won't even be 24.
I know. Last one, fast one, as they say.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening, everyone, and we'll catch you very soon.
You've been listening to the Propulsion Swimming Podcast with Scott and Dan. We want to thank you for joining us and invite you to subscribe to the show, as well as checking out the Propulsion Swimming YouTube channel for weekly tutorials and videos to get your swimming fix. We will be back next week. Until then, we'll catch you on the next one.